How you guys doing? This is Art, Fixers Automotive again. Today in the shop we got a 2005 Chevy Uplander. Customer complaint on this one was when she starts it, it makes a heck of a rattle noise, and then she's been noticing that it's been dripping coolant for the past couple of days now. So she dropped it off, told me to take a look at it, see what it needs, whatever it needs, fix it. So I figured I'd bring you guys along, see what we find. Let's go. One more time. That might be a different problem. Uh-oh. I might have a ignition problem. Look at that, folks. Might need to take a look at that. What do we got here? 193,000 on it. Let's go take a look. Alright, so hopefully you guys heard that on the video. It's got a pretty bad water pump. So the water pump bearing in this thing is completely shot. So we're going to go ahead and change the water pump on this one. This is a 2005 Chevy Uplander. I know that this style water pump has been gone back, as far as I can remember, man, to like 96. I know some of the Pontiacs, Grand Ams, the Grand Prix, the 3.1s, 3.8s. So I know that they all had the same type of setup, 3.5 liter V6s. They all had the same type of water pump. You know where it's located in the actual housing. So it's a couple of bolts. It's not that difficult, and let's fix it. All right, it's gonna be a tight shot, but as you can see, so this is their water pump pulley. Right here, you got a couple of 10 millimeter bolts. So we have to take this harness off, take this little plastic cover off, just to gain a little bit more access. It's not necessary, but a couple extra steps, it makes life a lot easier. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna pull this connector off, get it out of the way. Reposition you guys here. Alright, so now it's a little 8 millimeter bolt that sits right in here. It's kind of hidden. It's either 8 or 10. Can't never remember. It's either 10. Yeah. We'll take that off. That's how that goes. A little cover, a little 10 millimeter bolt. Alright, so now, so your water pump is inside this here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna crack these bolts loose. Hopefully the belt can hold this pulley from spinning. So now we gotta break out a special tool. Let's see if it works. There's one. Come on. Nope. So we only got lucky on one. Let's see this one. Nope. Okay, so this tool I got, it's got a couple hooks on it. It's designed to hold the pump. It's designed to hold these bolts in so the pump doesn't move while you break them loose. Two. Which one was it? I think it was this one. Hold the other two bolts. Okay. Now I got all 4 bolts loose. Now remember, the belt's still under tension. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to see if we can take this belt off here. So the tensioner is way in the back. It's kind of hard to film, but it's way in the back, and looks like it's just a regular 3/8 drive. And we'll take the belt off. Okay, so we got the belt off. We're gonna take this pulley off now. It's just taking off these 4 bolts, that one that we loosened. And right behind this pulley, it's gonna be a little water pump. It sits inside this little water pump housing. And I wonder what we're gonna find, because I've done a couple of these, and these impellers are just regular stamped steel. They're not like stainless steel like some of the other ones, and they just rust out like crazy. So now they got the pulley up out of the way. It's got these little, man, these are like 8mm bolts. I think there's 5 of them. They go all the way around. Then we have to slowly work this thing off. Hopefully you guys can hear that. It's got some movement in there. Let's see if I can get this out. That one, okay, 7, 8. Alright, so get the last bolt out. There's 5 of them. And take a hammer. So we get it to split. A couple taps. Comes right out. Make sure you get a catch can. Catch all your old nasty coolant. Let's see what we find here. Hey, this one don't look too bad. Look at that baby, huh? That's your water pump. Alright. Alright, so to clean that, man, I've had this thing for years. It's called the Super Scraper. It's made a little carbide bit. It's pretty sharp. This is great to clean like hard to reach aluminum surfaces. The only thing about it that when you use this, you got to be right on, because if you get this thing up on edge and you go to scrape it, you will take material. It will gouge you. This thing will own you. So just be real careful when you use it, especially on a machine surface like this. So if you just kind of give it a little, just real easy back and forth, and it cleans it off, and it's like perfect. It's like brand new, ready to go. So this is pretty good. So it's gonna clean this whole entire flange here. Alright, so we got the flange all cleaned up, ready to go. You use a super scraper. It did take a while, but just cleans it off real nice. We'll go ahead and take some brake cleaner to it, clean it all out, make sure that's all good to go. So in the meantime though, before we get that going, we got a new water pump just delivered from, just local parts house here in town. So there's a new water pump. You can tell here the impeller is a little bit different. Now they go through redesign phase and stuff like that. So that's what this one looks like. Here's what the old one. I don't know if there's anything wrong with this one. I mean, in terms of the design, but the actual bearing in here, you can feel it knocking. So obviously, once you get that under tension, this thing spins. It just makes a bunch of noise. So out with the old one, and with the new one. Again, there's a new one. So what we're gonna doing also is I like to get the water pump gasket. Now some people leave them dry. Some people, will coat this with RTV, gray RTV, blue RTV, black RTV, even the high temp red stuff. I've seen it. They all do, I guess, a good job. Everything seals up. But what I like to use, is this high-tack gasket sealant. It's like a thick red, you know, sticky high-tack. And the good thing too is that this thing stays in place. And to be honest with you, since I've been using this, I've never had a water pump gasket leak. Now this is only for, I use this only for like paper style gaskets. Like some of the Chevy vehicles, they use the aluminum and the little rubber infused. I leave those dry. I just make sure it's all nice and clean. I leave them dry. Again, never had a problem with those. So you know, it's your own personal preference what you want to do, but I use the red high-tech stuff. So I usually just get the box, put it on there, paint both sides, and then that way when you go to stick it on to the water pump, it actually sticks to the water pump and it doesn't slide off, or you don't have to let it, you know, like kind of tack up like you do some of the other RTV stuff. So this stuff here, it's just like I said, it's just a red, you know, gooey stuff. And all I do is I don't be shy with it. Almost out. Getting the last of it. Let's do the other side. Doesn't take much. You don't gotta go crazy, but you want to make sure that, you know, everything's coated. So now the thing is, I don't know if this one's like the other ones. These look like they're evenly spaced. Now this could be the sometimes some of the older ones, these weren't evenly spaced, so you had to put the pump on and kind of rotate it and get it to line up all the bolts. Some of them did have a little arrow up on top, and then obviously that would go up here on top. I don't know exactly how this one goes, and I don't want to put it on. It might be all the same, evenly spaced. Let's see here. See, they're not evenly spaced. Here, so you guys can see this. As you can see that hole lines up. Well, that hole is a good 1/4 inch hole off, so you have to keep rotating this. And this is what you don't want to do, is when you put it on the housing, you don't want to sit there and rotate this thing and the gasket move on you and everything. See, like all the holes line up, but that one's a 1/4 hole off. So just gotta keep going. Like I said, I don't know which one it is. All right, so we got our gasket set in place. All right, so I did test fit this, so I know which way it goes. It's gonna go straight up, just like this. Make sure all the flanges are clean. And it installs just like that. Just gonna get a bolt here started. Hopefully, man, that's all cattywampus. Look at that thing. Come on, click over. There we go. Let's get one started here. So once all 5 are tight, we're gonna put our pulley back on. Remember, these are just 8mm bolts, so they're not very tight. So you can break out a torque wrench if you want, but they're just 8mm bolts. Probably something in the nature of like probably 20, 30 inch-pounds maybe. I mean, nothing much. So that's on. Just make sure your your impeller spins, I have seen where you install them and they're not made. The specs could be off and the inner impeller is hitting the inside of the housing. That one looks good. So pulley's all nice and clean. Now we get to figure out where these bolt holes go. Somewhere in that vicinity. Hey, look at that. Got one. So after we put this pulley on, we're gonna put the belt on. We're gonna hook up the funny funnel. We're gonna bleed. So here, there's your little bleeder port. We're gonna pop this one loose. It's a little 7mm. It's a little brass plug. We'll pop that sucker loose as we fill it up, so that way the air can come out of there. And we'll start it. Make sure it circulates. Go from there. So it's running, all nice and quiet. Start up. So we just let it run for like 10 seconds. Just make sure everything's all good. And got the cover back on, got the harness back on. We're gonna open up this bleeder. Alright, so we're gonna take off. Try to take off the radiator cap. Holy jeez. It's already up. Man, it's just in a hard spot. We're going to try to find the right combination. So the good thing about the funny funnel is that we have your typical GM style radiator cap. This goes in, this plugs in, just like that. We can fill it up, and then it's got a little 90-degree with a little extension on it, so it makes it really nice, especially in this part where it's really difficult. And voila. So now remember, so as long as we don't have any other leaks in the cooling system, it should burp. I'm not going to open up the bleeder just yet. I want to make sure that it burps and make sure that's good. So make sure we don't have any other leaks. I don't think we do, but we'll see if it burps as we bring you guys in here. I hope you guys can see in there. It burped a little bit. Oh, you know what? It's got a little bit of air coming around the radiator cap. So there's a little bit of air coming out there, so I'm not gonna worry about that. Yeah, it's got a little bit of air. It doesn't like that. Alright, so about this bleeder. I believe it was a 7mm again. We're gonna crack that thing loose. If I crack it loose, it should just swirl down. Hopefully it comes loose. There it goes. Just going straight down. So again, that's how you tell whether or not if you have a leak somewhere else. Hopefully you guys can hear the air coming out. Yeah, it filled up. We didn't lose very much coolant. So let's start this thing, get it to circulate. Let's go from there. back in the car, took it for a drive, did my 5-mile loop. So now everything's good. We got good temperature. It doesn't overheat. Nothing's leaking. So everything's good to go. So there you go, guys. That's how you change a water pump on a 2005 Chevy Uplander with a 3.5 liter V6. It's pretty simple. If you guys are confused, sometimes you don't know whether if it's a belt-driven problem or if it's a engine problem. What you guys can do is take the serpentine belt completely off, start it, let it run for 10 seconds, and that way you can hear. If you do have the sound still, then you know it might be a harmonic balancer or something engine related. If the sound goes completely away, then you know you have accessory belt driven problem. And then what you can do there is you can take each pulley and spin each one by hand and sit there and wiggle each one, and then that'll usually figure out. You can usually figure out which one's either getting hung up or it's hard to turn, or in this case it was very, very little movement. So you guys really got to pay attention. Sometimes it should spin nice and freely and rotate with no like vertical movement. So that should be it. So hopefully you guys learned something from this video. Click the subscribe button, click the thumbs up, and remember, guys, if you keep breaking them, I'll keep fixing them. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.